Good afternoon and welcome to SUNY Poly's Fall 2025 Convocation Ceremony. This special event formally marks the start of the academic year, as our institution reaffirms its commitment to the pursuit of knowledge and the academic, cultural, and social growth of our entire community. Please allow me the privilege of introducing you to the members of the platform party. Please hold your applause until all are recognized. So I'll start to my right, your left, Dr. Adam McLean, Associate Professor of Biology and Chair of the Faculty Assembly. Dr. Babak Elahi, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Rafael Romero, Interim Dean of the College of Business. Dr. Abdullah Erolu, Dean of the College of Engineering. And Dr. Mark Kittleson, Dean of the College of Health Sciences. And to my left, your right, Dr. Winston Shobiejo, President. Dr. Lauren Endres, Associate Professor of Biology. Dr. Mark Montgomery, Vice President for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, and Interim Vice President for Student Affairs. And Jennifer George, Assistant Dean of Students and Chair of the Staff Assembly. So my colleagues, please be seated. It's my pleasure to introduce a distinguished leader in higher education and a powerful advocate for innovation, opportunity, and student success, Dr. Winston Shobiejo, the 7th President of SUNY Polytechnic Institute. Dr. Shobiejo has more than 30 years of experience in teaching, research, academic leadership, and industry work. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from King's College in London and a PhD in Materials Science and Metallurgy from the University of Cambridge. He's previously been a member of the faculty at Princeton University, MIT, and The Ohio State University. And prior to joining SUNY Poly, he served as Worcester Polytechnic Institute's Provost and Senior Vice President. He has an exceptional record of achievement in engineering research and academic leadership, along with significant contributions to international development and a proven ability to build global research and educational partnerships, just like what we're doing right here at SUNY Poly. Please join me in welcoming our President, Wally Shobiejo, to the podium.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today at SUNY Poly's annual convocation. To our first-year students, our new and returning students, and to our dedicated faculty and staff, I say welcome to SUNY Polytechnic's 2025-2026 academic year. And I want to use this opportunity to thank everyone that's worked so hard to make today possible. Thank you. So, a special word of thanks goes to each member of our faculty and staff, and also to members of our auxiliary services, folks who prepare the food that we eat every day and we take for granted. I really want to use this as an opportunity to thank all of you for working so hard to make SUNY Poly a truly special place. And so, for all these folks, the commitment that they have is really the heartbeat of SUNY Poly. They're the ones who ensure that our students receive not only a top-tier education, but also a transformative educational experience. So in many ways, convocation is a time for reflection and renewal. It's a time to consider what the university truly is and what it can do to transform the lives of people and communities across the world. My own journey began at Cambridge University, which was founded in 1209. And it was not the world's earliest university, In fact, it was the fourth university to be established. The first was Al Qarawiyyin University in Fez, Morocco, which was established about the same time as Oxford University. And Bologna University in Italy was the third, and Cambridge was the fourth. It was actually created by a bunch of rebels who were not liked very much at Oxford, and they had to find their way to Cambridge so that they could have all these ideas that were different from the mainstream. And over time, it became a place where generations of students found knowledge, purpose, and a calling. And over centuries, it grew into a world-class institution that has produced leaders in almost every field that you can imagine. And you could imagine as a student there, in the early days, I was quite intimidated. I would go through the backs of the colleges where you see the old colleges such as Trinity, and I would say, my God, this is where Isaac Newton lived and worked and developed calculus. And I would wonder, what the heck am I doing here? I would go to lunch and I would see Stephen Hawking having lunch and being as happy as anybody can be with all the challenges that he had to face. But somehow in that place, which didn't exert too much pressure on you, grew a culture that produced leaders in every field imaginable. And many of those leaders just looked like anybody else. And so you almost took it for granted that somehow this was the culture of the place. And as a student, as you looked at all these great people, you hoped that somehow by modeling the culture, you would also one day achieve something. Now, SUNY Poly's story, though younger, is no less remarkable. Founded in 1966 as an upper division college, we've grown through transformation from upper division college to SUNY IT, and now proudly SUNY Polytechnic Institute. Today we stand as New York State's premier public institution, a polytechnic, a place where innovation meets opportunity, a place that prepares graduates that industry trusts are ready to work and solve problems on day one. And just as Cambridge has touched the world, SUNY Poly has shaped the Mohawk Valley and beyond. I'm always amazed as I travel through this region and across the state and perhaps even across the country, how many people know of our graduates and their preparation for work on day one, which cannot be taken for granted. So our graduates are respected and valued for their readiness to lead and their ability to make a difference on day one. Now for you, many of you are first-year students, and I'm sure you've come here thinking, I'm going to get an education, get a job, have a life, and live happily ever after. But I want to challenge you, because I think there's more to life than simply working hard, getting good grades, getting a job, and living happily ever after. So I want to challenge you in three ways as you go through the next few years. And so, actually, before you put your energy in anything, you have to seek your purpose. What does that mean? Seek your purpose. You need to use your time here as a time for self-discovery. Ask yourself, what is my purpose in life? My purpose was not just to get a job and live happily ever after. There's something deeper about the contributions that you can make whilst you're here and the contributions that you can make beyond, driven by your will and your sense of purpose. So what is my purpose in life? And to discover that, you need to reflect, you need to interact with others, you need to try different things. And somehow, as you explore that in your next 4 years, you will discover your purpose. And when you engage in it, you will find that actually you never work a day in your life. Because when you pursue your purpose with passion, with conviction, you lead a life that's truly fulfilling. And it's really important that you discover that purpose whilst you're here. The other thing is that your purpose is not necessarily in your major. So explore the connections between different fields in how you pick your electives, how you try out extracurricular activities, and do not limit yourself to a single field. So I was trained as a mechanical engineer. I got a PhD in materials because I discovered I loved materials. And I found my purpose in applying that in so many different ways, to medicine, to aerospace, to microelectronics, to computers. And I found that through chance interactions with people that I didn't know very well, I ended up with intellectual property on the LED screen in ways that I could never have imagined. And it all centered around finding my purpose in college by trying out different things. So explore those connections, engage in interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary learning, seek the spaces where ideas meet. Seek them and listen intensely. Don't talk too much, but absorb all that thinking that goes on around you in ways that will allow you to create something truly new and embrace teamwork. Now you might say, what's this all about, teamwork? He keeps talking about teamwork. What I find is that the easiest way to fail is to go as an individual. You think you have all the qualities, but you don't. But the easiest way to succeed is to take the time to build effective teams and learning how to give and take in ways that allow the group to win. So explore connections and build that muscle in you of how to be a successful member of a team. Now, the third aspect of this is to lead with courage. Because there are three stages of a good idea. So in the first stage, by the way, nobody believes you. Nobody. If it's truly a good idea, nobody believes you. But if you know it and you feel it in your gut and you discuss it with people around you, eventually a few people like your close friends, maybe members of your family, begin to see it. And in the third stage, of course, it was their idea all along. So you have to have courage to have new ideas. You have to have conviction to have new ideas. And sometimes you have to think out of the box in ways that allow you to be truly transformative. So lead with courage, take advantage of co-curricular opportunities, and develop the leader in you. The leader, by the way, is not necessarily the person who has the title, the leader. The leader is the person who makes things happen, who is not just a title, who often is a person that offers service, resilience, and vision. So take your time to really explore these challenges, seeking purpose, exploring connections, and leading with courage. And as you pursue your studies, remember that balance matters. Make time for work, life, and play. The best way to lead a totally frustrating life is to lead a life of work, work, and work. You actually get diminishing returns in such a life. In a life of work, life, and play, you bring your best self forward and you care for your well-being. And remember that we, all of us, are social beings. So you're joining a new community that can feel awkward. In my case, I would never forget my first day at Cambridge. I went up to the middle common room and I said, "Hi guys," and everybody ignored me. It was awkward. And I said, "Hi guys," again, and a few people looked from the side of their newspaper. Who's this weirdo who's saying hello to me, right? But persistence paid off. Within a day or two, I met some folks, and the next thing we were in the pub together, having a drink and chatting about things that we found in common. The next thing we were playing together in some sports or arguing about the latest political problem of the day. So be brave and don't give up. You're not alone. You're in a place, by the way, where all of us here have found our own type. And there's a special type that comes to SUNY Poly who's got interests and, in some cases, geeky tendencies, this is home for you. And you're not alone. Engage and connect. And open yourself to a diverse community as you immerse yourself in the full SUNY Poly experience that will prepare you not just for a career, but a meaningful life. So at SUNY Poly, our students are our North Star. What do I mean by that? We mean that your success is our success. And our goal is to help you to really achieve that in everything that we do. So we will walk with you every step of the way. And for me, it is an honor to be part of an institution that's committed to this. It's an honor to serve as president. And on behalf of our leadership team, the College Council, our faculty and staff, and your fellow students, I invite you to join us as we write the next chapter of SUNY Poly's history. So today, to get together, let us move forward as New York's and the nation's premier public polytechnic. And I wish you a joyful, purposeful, and fulfilling year. Thank you. And so with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Lauren Endres, who is our keynote speaker today. Lauren, please stand. Since joining SUNY Poly in 2015, Professor Lauren Endres has demonstrated a steadfast commitment to excellence in teaching and research. She offers a wide range of courses from introductory and general education classes for first-year students to upper division classes for senior level students and for biology majors. As a recent recipient of the SUNY Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Teaching, Dr. Endres is known for building meaningful connections with her students, taking time to understand their interests and career goals. Her enthusiasm for biology, coupled with her success in research and scholarship, informs her dynamic and adaptable approach to teaching. A dedicated mentor and collaborator, she actively contributes to the success of her students, supports her colleagues, and advances the mission of SUNY Poly through service to the university and external partners. Dr. Endres exemplifies the qualities of an outstanding educator, passionate, student-focused, and deeply engaged in the academic community. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Endres to the podium to deliver today's keynote address. Dr. Endres.
Make my own copy so I can not rely on my bifocals. So I think it's a great honor for me to talk to this incoming class of 2029. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here. And for returning students, welcome back. It's good to see you again. So I want to take this opportunity to tell you the story of my educational journey from when I was at your stage and as a first-generation to college student, because I learned a lot from my experiences at this stage. They helped me along my way, and in fact, some of these experiences that I'm going to share with you today continue to help me today as a professor. I was a bit surprised when Dr. Phipps, sitting in the back row, asked me to be the convocation speaker. What words of wisdom could this Gen Xer possibly share with your generation? Should I do some research? So I asked my favorite AI app, what were some great college speakers, and it was all too ready to give me its list of all-time great college speakers, which included Steve Jobs, Barack Obama, Jerry Seinfeld, and Taylor Swift. So for a lot of reasons, I felt like that was a dead end. No offense if there's any Swifties out there. And that's another pop culture reference that probably ages me. There will be a few in this speech. So I decided I'd tell you my story. And I think that's all you can really do in life, is tell your story and hope that you make a positive impact. I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood in the East End of Toronto, where many memorable scenes from Mike Myers' Wayne's World played out regularly in my neighborhood, like ball hockey, game on, car, game off. How many of you have seen Wayne's World? Okay. So, as I said, if you ask a Gen Xer to give a talk, you're going to get Gen X references. So I admit, I had some turbulent teen years, coming up in the late 80s and early 90s. The Yonge Street Strip in downtown Toronto was only a 15-minute subway ride away, and it was just packed with these multi-story iconic record stores, Tower Record, HMV. And you have to understand at that time, not only did you have to go to a video arcade to play a game, you also had to go to a music store if you wanted to sample a new album or listen to some new tracks. You would physically park yourself at a listening station, complete with headsets. You'd ask the in-house DJ, can I have this album to sample? And away you went. So, I admit that this activity led to far too many unexcused absences on my high school record, at least in my freshman year. I did, however, know always that I wanted to go to university. And what I couldn't articulate at the time was a deep sense that my life would be missing something essential if I didn't continue my education. I got my grades up. Importantly, I stopped skipping class. And by my senior year, I had a competitive GPA, a small scholarship, and I gained entrance into my choice college. So in retrospect, this view of the value of higher education, I believe came directly from my father. He never managed to make it to college, but had a very successful career in advertising sales. He was a great talker, and anyone who knows me probably would agree that I inherited that characteristic. And he also had an inherent kindness and ability to relate to people. But importantly, my father always wanted more for his children than he had for himself. And his philosophy was simple. Go as far as you can with your education and find something you like to do. Why? He strongly believed that you could never be at a disadvantage with more education. And number two, if you like what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. All right, that's a cliche. But it does remain true for me to this day. Of course, it glosses over some aspects of my job that are not as enjoyable as teaching and research, like assessment. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that you will experience undesirable aspects of your job even when you find a career that you love. And that reminds me of another cliche I often hear from my husband when I take my work complaints home. Well, he'll say, if it wasn't work, they wouldn't pay you to do it. So I do think that work can and should be fun and fulfilling, at least most of the time. And I sincerely hope that you are inspired towards this goal during your time at Poly. So my scholastic troubles were not over when I reached university, and I decided to major in biology with biochemistry as an area of concentration. This required thermodynamics. As a professor, I now understand that my old biology department probably didn't have a professor to teach this subject from a biological perspective. So what to do? Tap the College of Engineering. I knew I was in trouble the first day of class when there was no textbook because the professor simply didn't feel there were any available good enough to teach his course. Long story short, I learned the steady state heat equation, among other engineering thermodynamic principles, long forgotten now. I was a constant presence in my professor's office during office hours, and as it turned out, I needed quite a bit of remedial calculus tutoring. I made it through that course, and I got my biochemistry distinction. So my first message is to you is do not be afraid to lean on your professors while you're at SUNY Poly. Visit them during their office hours. If you are struggling or just to chat, and keep your eye on the prize. How many of my colleagues go through a semester with few or no students visiting during their office hours? Hey, you don't have to answer that question. I saw some hands go up. I'll rephrase it. How many wish you had more visits? We'll look over there and confirm that. So even though thermodynamics remains the lowest grade of my transcript, it's one that I'm very proud of because I worked so hard to get that passing grade for that distinction. So that brings me to my second message. During your time here, you'll be asked to learn things that you may feel are not immediately applicable to your major. Embrace these subjects. You never know when they'll serve you. I know I'm in a better position to teach biological thermodynamic principles in cell biology today because I appreciate the broader concepts. And my struggle with thermodynamics, I hope, gave me a good story to tell you today. After achieving my Bachelor of Science, I decided to take my father's advice again and further my education in graduate school. During my first interview, I was asked to explain a number of C+ and B grades on my transcript during my first year. I think I only had one A. So I told the truth. I had a bit of a tough transition from high school to college. Everything in high school came pretty easy to me once I decided to apply myself. I could cram the night before and score an A on most of my tests and exams. Now, this was simply not true in college. The sheer magnitude of material I had to learn made it necessary to study and get started on projects far ahead of my typical timeline. So at this point in my interview, I thought, things are not going so well. I was very surprised to hear my interview say, "Good answer." I later learned his identity. It's Dr. Takwa Mack. He was chair of my department, my future department, director of the Amgen Institute at Princess Margaret Hospital in Toronto, and a co-discoverer of the T-cell receptor. Glad I didn't know that going into that interview. At another interview at a different department, that interview went in completely the opposite direction. My mediocre performance in my first year showed that I was a risk, despite having a near-perfect 4.0 in subsequent years. Dr. Mack explained to me that he likes to see this type of upward trajectory of grades reflected in my transcript, that it shows adaptability and perseverance, which he believed are crucial traits for success in a doctoral program. So to be valued for my imperfect academic journey in this way meant that I had truly found my home in the Department of Medical Biophysics at the University of Toronto, where I was accepted and completed my PhD. So this brings me to my third message to you, which I think is the most important. During your time in your academic journey, don't be deterred or derailed by setbacks or struggles. You never know when something that you perceive as a weakness will be seen as a strength by someone else with a different perspective, and be open to different perspectives. No doubt you'll be worn down by coursework as I was. I encourage you to take time over summer and breaks, rejuvenate, stay connected to your friends and family. And I have brought a prop with me. So the last thing I wanted to share with you is this sentiment. When I was visiting New York City in the summer, I was walking the High Line as a tourist, and I came across a vendor. So I bought this, and I'm going to hang it on my office wall. I'm going to show it to you here, although I know you're going to come by and visit me and see it. But it says, "If you get tired, learn to rest, not to quit." So have a great year, and I wish you all the best in your journey at SUNY Poly.
Thank you, Dr. Endres, for those wise words and hard-earned wisdom. It is now my pleasure to invite SUNY Poly's Vice President for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging and Interim Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Mark Montgomery, to the podium for today's closing remarks.
Good afternoon. Please take a moment to look up on YouTube a video from a gentleman by the name of Paul Harvey. It was featured in the Super Bowl a few years ago, and the name of the video is "God Made a Farmer." So I give full credit to my remarks today to Paul Harvey. And through the lens of Paul Harvey's God Made a Farmer, I offer this sentiment, which I hope demonstrates SUNY Poly's commitment to excellence and to you. This multicultural landscape is laced with broad perspectives, abilities, and dreams. Those who have different abilities at all don't exist without cause or reason. We need them, and what they bring needs to be unique, because they are. You are. We live in varied communities, and historically there was and there is a need for someone who was special. So we created the people with different stories, abilities, histories, and dreams. We needed individuals who have a consistent drive for excellence, even in the face of dissension. So we created people who come from different spaces. Accompanied by an amazing team and organization like SUNY Poly, we needed those who were capable, who may not believe, and to perform without reservation or fear. So we created amazing dreamers we called faculty to guide those with stories, abilities, histories, and dreams. We sought a place where people can go even if they were poor, those who need a hug when others are under duress and in need. We needed people who are hungry to give back, who know when it's time to get something meaningful done, like supporting each other, to serve others outside of the self, no matter the personal cost. So we created a place called SUNY Poly. We needed people who can remind us of what is good and what it means to dream, to look into the eyes of those who may doubt and say, it's going to be all right. I'm here. I got this. I'm a professional at SUNY Poly. We needed people who were willing to be prepared and face the challenges in many ways that others take for granted, and to do so with class, dignity, and inspiration. So we created people with different histories to attend SUNY Poly, for that is the magic we are seeking. To President Sobiejo's point, at SUNY Poly, we are seeking courage from you. It takes courage to pause when things are said intended to derail your connectivity. It takes courage to stand for those whose lives are hurting. It takes class and courage to pause and to reflect while looking through the lens of empathy and ponder, if that were me, what would I need right now? At SUNY Poly, we are looking for those who are strong enough to say, I got this, strong and humble enough to say, I need this, and passionate enough to say, I have this to give. So we created faculty, staff, and students at SUNY Poly to state that we can do better alongside of our institutional core values. On behalf of this impressive administration, our faculty, our staff, our amazing facilities, and our on-ground partners, and our robust community filled with people from different stories, abilities, history, and dreams, I say to you all, e pluribus unum, out of many, we are one. So bring people with you, as someone has brought you. Lastly, I encourage you to focus your attention on what you have versus that which you believe you should or deserve, and then perform like you are thankful that you can. Perform like you are thankful for the opportunity to dream amongst the Wildcats, because we are thankful for you. Carpe diem, welcome home. Have a meaningful and robust semester at SUNY Poly, full of belonging. This concludes the 2025 Convocation ceremony. Thank you for joining us today. Please help yourself to some light refreshments out in the lobby on your way out. Thank you.
All right.